Rabies and Germs, welcome to NJ Today. You're watching this either on our official YouTube channel or on mishmashers.com. My name's McConaughey, and for today's video, I'll be sharing my thoughts on the 2007 Uncharted, as part of a series of videos where I share my perspective on each installment. If you enjoy this video, feel free to subscribe and support the channel, I'd really appreciate it, and be ready as I do reviews for Uncharted 2 through 4, as well as the Lost Legacies. Regardless of any of the criticisms I may pose while I'm sharing my opinion of the Uncharted series in these videos, something I want to most certainly get across from the get-go is that I enjoy them all on some level and find for them to be some of the most approachable and playable experiences available. When I first bought Uncharted 1 through 3, I bought them simultaneously on the PlayStation 3 and played them in a very condensed amount of time. All while I played them, however, I found myself thinking, man, I can't wait to play these again, which is a unique feeling to have about a video game. I will be looking at each and every one of the Uncharted video games in the series of videos and be sharing my thoughts on each of them, comparing them and ranking them as I do so. Uncharted Drake's Fortune is a 2007 action-adventure platform video game developed by Naughty Dog, another company otherwise known for their work on the platforming Crash Bandicoot series, although obviously the comparisons to that series are small and far between. And I think that the biggest comparison one would make is that Uncharted is heavily inspired by a Tomb Raider, particularly when it began being developed by Crystal Dynamics. The video game follows the story of protagonist Nathan Drake proclaiming himself a descendant of the explorer Sir Francis Drake. He, alongside his friend Sully, partakes in an expedition to find the lost treasure of El Dorado, meeting a journalist named Elena Fisher along the way, and being on a race against a man named Gabriel Roman and his crew. The 2007 video game introduces you to Nathan Drake and his likable cast of friends, and first and foremost, I'll mention that arguably the best aspect about the Uncharted series is the characters. In the first Uncharted, the characters are a little paper thin, with little known about their character and little about who they are. And I don't suggest this as a criticism, but instead I mention it as not being something I can single out as a point of praise. Fortunately, though, the characters themselves are likable and charming through and through. They're easy to get behind even if you don't know a whole lot about them. Uncharted approaches itself with the task of capturing a sense of adventure and exploration, and it does so well at accomplishing that feat. In 2007, the graphics were seen as some of the best of the time, and now, with the remastered version, they are allowed to delay the inevitable aging process. Uncharted looks great, even if enemies who've been shot react by flipping out and doing cartwheels. Nathan climbs fluidly in platforming, and the setting is enough to overlook such things. Many like to compare the Uncharted series to Hollywood films, lauding their production value and their cinematic approach. And a truer statement couldn't be said, as experiencing Uncharted is like an Indiana Jones film brought to a video game form, and not the way that video game movie adaptations usually go. That, along with the voice acting from a stellar cast, allow for Uncharted to make for a very solid presentation. Gameplay for the first Uncharted, however, notably doesn't have a whole lot of depth. The third-person shooter aspects are enjoyable, although they don't really make for a whole lot of variation, and at times those moments feel repetitive and superficial. The platforming looks very good and is also enjoyable for the most part, but once more, doesn't feel like it ever goes into second gear and lets it all hang out as a platformer, with most of it being very simple and straightforward. Some criticisms about Uncharted were in regards to the short length, with some saying they were able to finish the game within 6 to 10 hours. Notably, I was able to wrap up my second playthrough within 7 hours, and with that, I find myself without too much criticism about the game's length. This is because, like I said, Uncharted has enough merits that I felt assured I'd want to eventually play it again to find the collectibles and enjoy it more altogether. Uncharted is what I'd refer to as greatly made, but only in an above-average video game. The character models and graphics are nicely made with fluid animation, and the presentation succeeds at capturing a sense of adventure. On a technical level, it plays very well, laying the groundwork for greater things to come. But for the most part, the first Uncharted is average and standard as a shooter and as a platformer, with not a whole lot of innovative concepts implemented. It, of course, benefits considerably because its packaging, however. That said, I would recommend Uncharted, although I would mention how I don't consider it of a breakout caliber, and that the investment is truly in the experiences set to come. In other words, my thoughts, Uncharted's an above-average video game. And now, tell me, what are your thoughts on the first installment in the series? Do you think Naughty Dog created a perfect 10 out of 10 video game? Or are you on my side, thinking it laid the groundwork of great things from small beginnings? Let me know in the comments below, and if you liked this video, I hope I'll see you around as a subscriber, and I hope you'll watch my next video as I continue on and share my thoughts on Uncharted 2.